Hey guys, it's Rachel. So we're looking a little bit tomboyish today. My hair didn't want to cooperate and I wanted to make a video, so in the head it goes. But I wanted to get kind of like ahead on the YouTube Pagan challenge while I still had free time or some semblance of free time. You know how college goes. So I'm going to roll right on with topic 5 since I did 1 through 4 kind of all in one video. And topic 5 is, do you have any magical talents or psychic techniques which you consider your specialty? So, magical talents. I don't do a lot of magic and spellcraft in a, any sort of serious sense. I have a inexplicable knack for being able to pick up like a plant or a crystal or something, and without having any sort of like encyclopedic knowledge of, oh yes, this crystal can be used for X, Y, and Z. Being able to just kind of vibe with how it should be used in a magical practice. One example of this is one summer, my friend Mark and I were going to find some like wildflowers and such things in our natural environment back home, just in the woods behind our backyards basically, and make a midsummer incense. And so like I had, wild rose bush that I knew of and lilies and, things like that. And we go to collect some cedar because it's got that, like kind of like a citrusy scent, really awesome smell when it's burned. And we see this white bush just kind of sticking out of all of the, the citrus and pines, not citrus, cedar and pines. And I'm like, that's peculiar because I feel like I would have noticed this. I mean, it was as tall as I was back in 2011 and I haven't grown that much. So it's like a 5-foot plus white flowering bush. And I feel like I would have noticed something like that growing over the course of time because I'm back there all the time, but I hadn't. So there's this white bush just hanging out there, and we weren't really sure what it was or, that sort of a thing. And I have this vibe that it would be, gave me this kind of like weddings and, kind of like a fairy, happiness, midsummer, love, celebrations, those sorts of vibes. And we look it up, do a little bit of research and that kind of deal. And it turns out it's like a magnolia bush just growing randomly. I don't know how it got there still. And it's gone now. So like, must have been a fairy bush, like literally just there for summer and then gone. But all of the magical like use recommendations for it pretty much lined up with exactly the like vibe that I had gotten from it. So I have this like knack for not knowing things because I like remember them, not knowing things because I'm like a walking encyclopedia of like, yes, you can use time for this purpose. I don't know off the top of my head, to be completely honest. I look these things up when I do spellcraft, and but if I find something, I'm usually pretty good at like vibing with it and going, oh yeah, this could be used for this. And then when I look it up later, I find out like, oh, I was pretty spot on. So that's kind of like a weird, fun, magical talent I have, I guess. If I were to say that I specialized in anything else, magically speaking or psychically speaking, I'm pretty good at tarot. I happen to have my deck that I'm using currently just right beside me because I was doing my full moon tarot readings just a few moments ago. And I've gotten pretty good at tarot. People tell me that I've got a knack for it. I like to use it for most of my divination and psychic purposes, I guess. I find that I'm really good at storytelling with it and finding like anecdotes to mythology and folklore and those sorts of things that I remember when I'm telling or doing a tarot reading. For me, doing a reading is kind of like telling a story, and the ending is usually open-ended. The ending is up to you. Basically, if you continue on in the pattern that you are going, the situation result that is presented is probably what will happen, but it could change. So I like using tarot cards. I use them mostly for, I don't do a lot of predictive reading, really. I tend to look more at like the patterns of the present when I do readings and really sort of focus on things that I could do better, things that I should know, things that I can do in an active sense to make my outcome more favorable to accomplish my goals. Another thing I've discovered that I have a strange knack for over the summer, I don't know if I'd call it a specialty just yet, but I have a little agate scrying mirror. Actually, I'll grab it. Just give me one. So it's literally just this little slice of agate. It's like really, really dark brown. And I found it at the Grand Rapids Pagan Pride. And I've been using it as a scrying mirror, and as like a traditional scrying mirror of like look into it and like try to scry. I'm really bad at that. They don't show me things unless they want to show me things. And usually they'll, do things like jump off of my dresser at me or something like that. But I, for an entire camping trip, left the scrying mirror after I had cleansed it in like a spring in the woods and blessed it and that sort of thing. I left it under my pillow and had a lot of really wild dreams and had a new like spirit guide, figure that's been popping up in different dreams and meditations that kind of came through to me during that trip. So it's not scrying in a traditional sense, but I would say that it's kind of something that I've picked up. And I think that's about it as far as like specific talents and psychic abilities go in a general sense. Otherwise, I'm very good at drawing, sculpting, etc. All of those crafty parts of, witchcraft ware is something that I've made here. Like on my desk here, I've got little goblins. And so I sculpt with clay. I also made one that I like sewed in kind of this like ragdoll fashion, so like I'm okay at that. And then of course a bunch of the drawings, and I don't know which hand to point with because my camera's reversed, but the pictures behind me, a lot of those are mine. So I think that wraps up my witchy, magical, spiritual talents video. Have a great day, guys, and blessed be.